going on, people, and welcome to Level Up Success Stories, a show that we get to speak to incredible gamers and give you the insight into the gaming industry. I'm your host, the one and only Mr. Midas, and I am a BTD gamer, and you should join our community. Now, you can do this on Discord, while we're streaming on Twitch. Check out our socials, or simply hit that subscribe and be part of the BTD family. And we have a new affiliate program coming up soon, so look out for that. Now, today is going to be a great episode. It's going to be a lot of energy because I'm sitting down with another host. Yeah, she's hosted incredible events like Gears for War Esports League. We're talking Anime Expo 2023 to recently the Black in Gaming Awards in LA. Listen, she is a star here and a star in the making. Jordan, aka Miss Jourdy, welcome to Leveling Up Gaming Success Stories. How are you today?
Thank you, Midas. I appreciate that warm welcome. I'm feeling like, oh my gosh, look at you. Like, did I do that? Like, but thank you so much. I'm feeling good. I'm excited to talk. I'm appreciative of Black Tech Day as well as yourself for inviting me. So I'm just really excited for our chat today.
Amazing. All right, what we're going to do, Miss Jourdy, we're going to break the ice first. I'm going to throw some quick fire questions at you, so I don't want you to overthink about it. Just give me your first answer. Firstly, what would you tell an 8-year-old you?
Ooh, so I would tell 8-year-old Jourdy to definitely always just keep gaming, don't stop, like you love games. Maybe look at YouTube, it might pop off one day. I don't know if it was around when I was 8, actually.
Yeah, I doubt it.
But yeah, that would be one thing I would tell her. And love your friends that you have, because you're still going to be friends with them as you get older. So.
That's amazing. All right, what game do you love?
Oh, the game I love. Okay, so I'm gonna say The Sims. That's the one that kind of got me first interested in even being in the industry. And then I'm also gonna say Animal Crossing, because the pandemic, it pulled me through that. And finally, more recently, I've been playing a lot of Overwatch. So
okay,
I have Overwatch in there too.
I'm surprised you didn't say Apex. I was expecting to hear Apex in it, because I
I
know you love them dubs. I know you love them dubs as well. All right. What is your favorite console?
Ooh, my favorite console of all time. I'm gonna go with the GameCube.
Ooh,
throwback. Yeah,
that
so
is
I'm
a
gonna
throwback.
go.
It's funny. The GameCube's good, but it's very rarely you hear people say the GameCube. You more hear people say in the Nintendo 64. But I'm with you. I'm with you.
You know what? That's valid too. That's valid.
I've still got my GameCube in the studio, so it's dope. All right, so at the beginning we spoke about some of your incredible accolades, and you've been able to do some dope stuff as a video game host in the space. Can you just kind of talk us through your journey to become a video game host?
Yeah, so I would say my route is probably along more of the lines of how people go for more traditional television. So I actually, when I was in college for undergraduate, I studied specifically computer science, but I always wanted to work in the video game industry. So I actually wanted to be a game developer for The Sims. Electronic arts was my North Star. I was like, that's where I want to be, yada yada. But while I was in school, I was also had a side job like most people do. And I was working with the athletics department as a broadcaster, writer, journalist. And so I really enjoyed that. And I was like, I will always have these hard skills. I think the tech is not going anywhere, but maybe I should try out broadcast. So then I went to graduate school for journalism. And while I was there, I mostly covered basketball, but then I discovered League of Legends, esports, 2017. And I was like, oh my gosh, they have broadcasters for video games. Like, this is what I want to do. So after that first quarter of graduate school, I pivoted real hard into gaming. And I remember, short story, telling my professors, I was like, like, I'm gonna cover video games instead of basketball moving forward. And they're like,
they were like, what? You're gonna do
like,
what?
Right. This was back in 2018. So like, it was still on the come up, And so, man, everything I've done since then has been for Gears of War specifically. Like, I did an audition for that and applied with a bunch of other people apparently, and got that opportunity to work as a floor reporter. While I was living in Chicago, I covered the FGC, so like Frosty Faustings and Combo Breaker and all of those events. And then after I graduated, I would cover like the NBA 2K League. I specifically bought a ticket to New York just to cover the NBA 2K League with ESPN.
That's
not
dope.
Paid anything. Like, I was a freelancer. I think I got $100 off that opportunity, But I was like, I'm going. And so I really think moments like that kind of changed my life. And so ever since then, I've been a games journalist, but I sort of just took a chance on myself when nobody else saw the path, and that's sort of how I became a video game host.
That's amazing. And what's really fun is like being able to look back at the host and stuff you do. And I'm always excited when I see a new announcement on social media where you're hosting stuff, because you're very much into anime as well. So you do a lot of anime stuff. You're doing Dreamcon.
Yes, that just got announced this week. I'm so excited.
I keep my ear to the ground. Miss Jourdy, I love it. All right, so you mentioned it a little bit, but how did you get your actual first job in gaming? So the first thing that actually paid you, because working in gaming, I remember the first show I created was a show in the UK called Games, Gadgets and Rhymes on GRM Daily. And we did that for, I think, close to 2 years before I ever got paid. Like the first year, the money was coming out of my pocket. So what was the first actual job where you was earning revenue in the gaming industry?
Yeah, so my very first, I'm trying to think of my very, very first paid gig. I think it was the Gears of War, not as a freelancer, but actually like contracted paid work. It was the Gears event. So before that, I was obviously in school, so I think I was doing broadcasts just in general for about 4 years prior to getting paid in games. And then like my graduate school program was very accelerated, so it was like 4 years into one. So I would say I was doing about a year's worth of gaming work prior to actually getting paid. But I was also trying to do my own like mini YouTube series where I was like covering gaming news in 5 minutes on YouTube, and esports news, I should say specifically. But yeah, that would be my very first one. So it was like August of 2018.
That's dope.
But obviously, yeah.
So let's talk through that process a little bit, because you obviously said you went to the auditions and stuff like that. But how did you find the role? How did you actually apply? What do you feel like made you stand out in the auditions? And what was your first day like? I know that's a lot of questions, but I just basically want you to take me through that process.
Yeah, for that gig. So it started back maybe 6 or 7 months before that, I would say. So I found the Gears Esports League probably around November 2017, back when I also discovered League of Legends, because I was looking for other games that I felt very closely to. I grew up playing Gears 2 with my cousins. Shotgun lobbies, that was our vibe. So I was like, oh, Gears has esports, and Call of Duty did too. And during the Christmas break for college, they had a esports event in Dallas. So that December, so that was a month later, I went to the event, and I was sort of trying to network with as many people as it could be. I was meeting the casters. I was trying to get to the behind the scenes people. Like, yes, I was enjoying the experience, but it was also like a networking session, even though it was a gaming, like esports event, like, for me, because I was like, you never know what might open up. I'm just gonna put my name out there. Hey, I'm Jordan. Nice to meet you. I'm following everybody on social. And so they didn't open up the audition because they wanted to expand the talent at that time for Gears Esports. And they didn't open up the audition, I want to say, until it must have been because I was still in college. I was still back in Chicago before I moved to DC. It must have been like maybe I'm trying to think of 2 months before August. It's
Yeah, it
like
doesn't.
June.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a specific time
Yeah,
frame. Just
definitely
roughly,
not
yeah.
specific. Yeah, I'm just trying to think of the summertime, but yeah,
Yeah.
it must have been like June. And so then I submitted the tape, and I knew one of the casters pretty well, and I was like, hey, I think I'm gonna apply for it. You know, any tips, any advice? I got the production people at the school to set up a background for me. I remember, you know, I'm short, so I stood on like a bench to stand up close to the TV so I could feel official. Like,
That's
had a
dope.
mic, you know, all that stuff. So I really went for it, and then I networked with some more people at the Xbox team and Microsoft, and then got the opportunity. So.
That's amazing. Well, congratulations, and I love how far you put yourself out there to really go for that role. Now, one of the poignant things that you've said more than once explaining about getting your first gig is speaking about networking. And one of the things I've always said is your network is your net worth. Like being able to network with incredible people, being able to lean on them for support and take you to another level really helps. So what advice would you give to someone when it comes to being able to network?
Yeah, you know, for me, as I've been in this industry a little bit longer, my mindset towards it has changed a lot. So when I first started, I was trying to, as I said in the story, I was trying to meet as many people as I could. Like, I was like, they got to know my name. Like, even if I don't know much about them, they got to know my name. And so and so now that I've gotten a little bit older and have been to some of the, more of these events, I think to me it's less about knowing everybody in the room. Sometimes it's better to just, if you can make at least one solid connection and hold firm with that connection, and like occasionally check in, like maybe it's every 6 months depending on the type of role they do. If they are more along the same path as you, maybe it's every 2 or 3. If you live in the same city, maybe go grab coffee if you're comfortable. Zoom is good too. But to me, it's like, it's less about knowing everybody to me and more about networking with like the people who are closest to you. I feel like horizontally, not vertically all the time. So to me, that's a big thing, because honestly, the people who are like horizontal with you are gonna go up with you. So it's really important to do that.
And that's dope. Like, even speaking that to like our friendship, and we're both hosts, and some people would be like, well, if I'm a host and she's a host, well, we're trying to go for the same roles, but not where actually we've been able to network, we've been able to support each other on different opportunities, and been able to feature on each other's content. So it's super dope to actually be able to say, yeah, let me not just network with someone who can do something for me, but someone that is where I am and I'm wanting to kind of elevate what I want to do. So Miss Jourdy, do you have a manager or an agent?
No, I don't. It's just me. So I do all of the outreach myself.
And it's a lot of work, but it's also good for people to know that you've been able to achieve such huge opportunities without having an agent and without having a manager, and those stuff can happen. And being able to just, like you said, network with people, emailing, and even if you're not great at like spelling or putting emails together, there's things like ChatGPT now that can help you put an email together. We never had that. Could you imagine how much emails we could send out if we had ChatGPT just writing emails for us? So stuff like that, that's super important. All right, what is one of the biggest challenges you would say working in the gaming industry?
So for me, the biggest challenge I feel like I face, honestly, is sometimes just putting myself out there. Like, even though it sounds like, oh, you do it yourself, so you're constantly putting yourself out there, like, sending that email sometimes is a little difficult. So in all honesty, like, I think a lot of it too is just overcoming like some imposter syndrome, and like there's not a lot of girls who look like me, and women, I should say, as well, that do this type of work. So sometimes it's like finding, well, now I have like Black girl gamers and more of a community, but at that time it was definitely like, I don't know anyone. Like,
Yeah.
what am I doing? Like, so just overcoming some of those mental blocks, because you can't really control whether people work with you or not. Like, you just have to control your mindset and everything like that, and your output. But yeah, I think the mental blocks, like getting over that fear, was some of the hardest things that I had to overcome, and still am overcoming.
Yeah.
You know, it's an everyday process, but definitely is one of my biggest things.
So talking about imposter syndrome, how do you
Mhm.
struggle to know your place in this creation space? Because the creation space has changed so much. Like, being a host isn't
Yeah.
even the main thing anymore. And being a
Yeah.
content creator and being a streamer is the big thing. And like you said, you looking different or feeling different from the people that are put up on the spotlight when it comes to these events. Like, we see like the ninjas and stuff like that, and that's what the brands are putting their money behind. So how
Yeah.
do you navigate struggling with that imposter syndrome?
Yeah, I feel like, especially now, I'm still trying to figure it out. So I don't have an exact answer for you, to be honest, Midas and community that's listening. But I think the biggest thing is knowing your values and where what you stand on and you believe in, and remembering why you got involved with this in the first place. And that's for hosting. Yes, it's more of like, on camera we see what other people are doing, so you can always look at everybody's success and feel like, am I doing enough? Like, you know, I ask myself that all the time. So like,
So do
to
I.
me,
And you
I
know
know.
I'm doing the most. I'm doing the most, and I'm still
Right.
asking myself, am I doing enough?
Right, you and I both. So like, maybe for those people who are listening that maybe aren't a host, like, and maybe they're saying like, wow, well, because I still have a full-time job too, but I'm also doing this stuff on the side technically. So maybe somebody who just has a full-time job, asking themselves, are they doing enough? Yes, you're doing more than enough. Like, you're getting up, putting yourself out there every day. But I think, to answer your question, it's about trying to improve just a little bit every time you do what you do, and not thinking about being so perfect, not trying to emulate someone else's techniques or what they're doing. Try always, like, nothing out here in this content space is new. Like,
Yeah.
everybody has done something at this point now. So it's about, how can I put my own unique spin, blend in my personality, and really make it my own, even if it's a tried and true format or gaming content, game, whatever. Like, so that's what I'm always trying to like strive for, to break down this imposter syndrome. It's just getting to my why. Honestly, I don't consume as much content as I should, just because I do get in my head a lot about what other people are doing. So I have to like, I'm like, okay, I've deleted TikTok. Like, it's just too much. So
Plus, as well, you watch
Yeah.
so much animes, you haven't got time to be watching everyone's content when you got all these animes to watch. Like, how are you gonna do both?
You see, you're absolutely right. Like, you gotta study. Like, that's my research. That's my study.
Exactly,
you know?
exactly.
So how do you do it all?
So one thing we haven't really spoke about is that you are also a content creator. You make dope content. That's how I came across you, not even as a host, as a content creator, and watching some of your cool stuff. And you've had a dope journey on YouTube and being able to navigate both. But how do you
Yeah.
find managing being a content creator and a host? Because even though a lot of people think they're the same, they're two completely different skill sets and two completely different workloads.
Yeah, so the balance is interesting, because it's sort of like, I started content because I wanted to be a host. So the reason why I actually started streaming just in general was because I saw all of the other Call of Duty esports hosts doing it. I was like, none of them have a degree. Like, I spent all this money on a degree, and they all did streaming and content creation. So I need to do what they're doing. So isn't that crazy? That's a crazy thought. But it's like, that's why I started. And so now it's sort of transformed into its own like beast. Like, I feel like the people who watch my interview content are very different than the people who watch me just play games and like stream, because it's a lot more personality driven and based on your own personal brand with the content you create, versus when I'm hosting, it's very muchly trying to make sure the brand is put forward in the
Yeah.
way, the event, the award show. So walking that fine line, I'm trying to sort of blend the two with my YouTube channel and like vlogging and giving people more of a background of like why I decided to do this. This is how I do research or stuff like this. Like, because I like to come into interviews very prepared if I'm given the list of people before.
100%.
But you know, it's still, I think the audiences are very different, but I'm able to be a little bit more chill, like not have to be so formal with the community. They're like, oh, let's talk about anime, let's talk about games, you know. So it's fun to balance the two, but also adding in having a full-time job.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know how you do it. It's amazing. One of the things for me that's really dope, Miss Jourdy, in terms of being able to content create, and I've only really started the content creation since the pandemic, is always been able to create. And one of the problems I found is when I was just doing the hosting and when I was only hosting on other people's platforms, when there was no jobs, I wasn't doing anything. Like when no one booked me, or I wasn't able to be hosting on anyone's platforms, I wasn't able to create, and I was just in this creative stunt. And now I'm always been able to create. So whether it mean I'm hosting an event, if I don't get a hosting gig for 6 months, it's cool because I'm creating. Where before, when I was just hosting and I didn't have that 6 months, all I was doing is trying to get another hosting gig. And when I never had something, it was really hard on my mental and kind of made me devalue who I was as a host, and really kind of made me feel a bit rubbish about myself. One of the things you spoke about earlier is being a black woman in the space and kind of not seeing as many people look like you and stuff like that. Gaming is such an incredible landscape, but gaming online can be very toxic. How do you find, as a woman, to navigate safely around the toxicity that is on online gaming?
Yeah, it's having a lot of parameters specifically for like my Twitch chat, like having a lot of parameters in place so that way it blocks out the noise. In all honesty, when I'm playing online though, just gaming, I don't even use a mic. Like I don't talk to my teammates, and I know it probably makes for fun content, but growing up, I feel like I got called like a little boy so often. I don't even think they knew I was a girl sometimes. But it's like, you know, my voice is a little more high pitched, it's a little more squeaky, so I guess I made that assumption. But especially being a streamer and just being visible on the platform, like when I first started on Twitch, I think it was like 2018, and in 2020, I feel like Twitch got very, very toxic around like the pandemic. Obviously, like in America they had like the George Floyd situation, and so it was a lot of like bot spam. But I feel like the black streamer community really came together, especially on Twitter. That's where I keep up with most people. But now Twitch has like these guilds for women, for black creators, and so it's nice to be a part of that, to sort of like have an opportunity to like vent with people. But back then, I think I stopped streaming for a long time because the toxicity like really got to me, and I'm very sensitive about stuff, because I was like, people are like, oh well, all engagement is like good engagement.
No.
And now that I'm older, I'm like, you're blocked. Like if I've had so many like Twitch,
your block game is insane, to the point where people are requesting they're like, Jourdy, let me back in.
Yes. Like people are like, I didn't mean it like that. And I was like, if I detect a little hint of snarkiness, you're out of there. Like, so I don't even waste time anymore. Like now I'm like, I just got to protect my mental.
Yeah. And it's really important too. All right, this might kind of incorporate for your IRL job as well, more than just what you do as a content creator. But what are some of the different ways that you can get paid in gaming?
Oh, I love this question. Thank you. Because I feel like a lot of people think you have to be like a creator or you have to be what are the two I always say, like content creator or professional gamer to get paid in games.
Yeah, like esports or content, and there's more than that.
So much more. So anything that I always tell people, anything that you can find that you can do like in like a regular 9 to 5, like let's say like a hospital, you can also find a job just like that in the games industry. So obviously game developers are huge, like they're like the backbone of our industry. So that, and back when I was coming up, that's the first thing I thought of, but now obviously times have changed. Game dev, you can be and which I feel like this is really cool, you can be like a legal like attorney or agent, like we sort of touched on a little bit, for content creators or professional gamers. A lot of people are so young, they don't know how to read contracts, they don't know the fine prints. So that career, I feel like, is only going to continue to expand because everybody wants to be a digital creator.
Yeah.
And you don't just have to do that for games. Accountants, like gamers need accountant. Tax season, everybody needs it.
Everyone's crying.
Exactly. So that's a career. You can also be a journalist, a writer. Games media is so important, I believe. Yeah, but there's like so many different type of careers you can do in gaming. You kind of have to be creative, and honestly, if you don't find something that is directly related to what you can do in the industry, maybe it's a good opportunity for you to also create it.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that is really important. Like even like from the physical side, like they need mental skills coaches, they need personal trainers, like, you know, because we live a sedentary lifestyle.
Yeah.
So those are things that are lacking, I feel like, in this space, and somebody could do that. So yeah, there's so many different routes.
So many routes. Miss Jourdy, you are so dope, and I'm so glad that we got you up on Level Up to really expand and shed some light on your success in the gaming industry. Such a dope friend, and we've known each other for a while. I'm really proud of you and your journey and everything that you're doing. My last few questions for you. I need you to name me 3 Black gamers, streamers, or content creators that people should look out for that you highly rate.
Okay, 3 gamers, creators, streamers.
So they just 3. So they could either be a professional gamer. They could just, as long as they were in the gaming space.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna start with JN Lopez. I'm sure you're familiar with her. JN is the founder of Black Girl Gamers. I think she is incredible. JN has opened so many doors for so many different folks through Black Girl Gamers, and her team, they're incredible people. They work extremely hard, and obviously I think they're also based out of the UK, I believe.
So Jayan's actually from the UK, but she lives in the States now. So she moved over to LA recently. I think, funny enough, there's a Black Girl Gamers is bigger in America than it is over here. And yeah, Jayan's super dope. She's done really great things for the industry. And just sending out positive stuff to everyone in the Black Girl Gamers community. I know there's been some toxicity around it and people trying to diminish what they've done, but they've really created a safe space for Black women, and it's super important.
Absolutely, that's what I was gonna say too. Like sending them all of my love, because I know it's been hard right now, but they are incredible. And the people, listen, you know how they say, if you know, you know.
Yeah.
Like if you know, you know. But if you don't know, we about to put you on, because you should know about her.
All right, so that's
and her
one.
team. One, I would also say Cuddlecore. She is a professional esports Tekken player. She is incredible. She has ranked multiple times and placed very high multiple times in multiple different Tekken tournaments. She's a Black girl that I think you should always support consistently, especially in the FGC, because there's not too many of us dominating the way she is there. And third and finally, I'm gonna put... Ooh, I should have had this last one ready. The third person, the third person I want to highlight and recognize is a friend that actually helped me get my first gig in esports with Gears of War. His name is Guy Blaze. I'm a big fan of him personally. He's a good friend to me, and he's a host. He does multiple different events across North America. and well, also EU too. He
Yeah,
did Gears,
he did
Apex.
Apex. Yeah, that's how I met him, by
Yep.
the Apex League.
Exactly. Call of Duty. He's on League of Legends. He's an incredible stage host, high energy, and just a great guy and a great chef. So he's a good
I always see
person.
him cooking it up on the Instagram. Shout
Exactly,
out.
whipping it up.
Yeah, shout out, guy. And shout out you, Miss Jourdy. Carry on with your incredible journey. Thank you for joining us and shedding some of your knowledge for people to understand and get more understanding about the gaming industry. But like I said, come and join us. Be part of the BTD Gamers family. You can do this by connecting with us via Discord. Come and check out our streams. I stream every Monday over on BTD Gamers. We've got our first signing, Ricky Troops. He streams every Wednesday and Sunday, and throughout the week we have other streamers. Check us out on our social medias and just simply hit that subscribe to be part of the BTD family. And remember, I said we've got something new coming in. It's called an affiliate program, which means you will be a gamer and you can come and stream on our Twitch channel. So look out for that one. Miss Jourdy, thank you again. Have a wonderful day, and we out of here. Peace.
Dive into the world of coding, streaming, gaming, blockchain, public speaking, and much, much more. Just one membership provides generations with all the tools you need to rediscover yourselves and each other.
Do you sometimes struggle to connect with your kids? Do you feel like sometimes you're speaking a totally different language? Or like Black Tech Divisions, we understand that. Our membership program fosters true connection through shared opportunities and interests.
Investing, streaming, drone piloting, public speaking, gaming, and so much more, which help everyone to uplift their income and bond more together. So take that first step to strengthening your family bond and join today. Your future self will thank you for the investment.